to another episode of Trek Canon. So today we want to talk about Broken Pieces and Nepenthe. So let's first start by saying that this video would have been uploaded a long time ago, but for some strange reason it wasn't allowing me. Format was wrong, this was that. It's just strange things. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about Nepenthe. Now, Nepenthe was a world that Deanna and Riker and their daughter went to for their restorative powers. I guess their son was sick, and they went there so that the planet can assist in healing. Now, as I deal with canon, you have to be like, okay, well, why didn't they go to the Briar Patch planet? I wonder if there was something that the M'Baku decided to not let Starfleet come and use the planet anymore because of that underhand stuff that they was doing. But there is a planet that's right there in the Briar Patch that I'm pretty sure would have healed their son quite well. But the daughter's name was Kestra, which I thought was really cool from the episode, from Deanna's oldest sister's name, which we found out about in episode Dark Page. And come to think of it, I wonder what's going on with Loaxana Troi. I really hope that she has found love, and because they had a real thirsty in the Next Generation, and in Deep Space Nine, her love life was really for her to just have been such a lively life of a person. I just wish that by now she found somebody who is worthy of how awesome she is, because she is just an awesome character. But props to Major Barry. But so we catch up with them on the planet. They have a really cool daughter, like I said, Kestra, who speaks all these imaginary languages that her and her brother came up with. We get to see the relationship that Picard and Troi and Riker have developed over all of these years. It's still a bond of respect, and it's involved more into a friendship now, which I'm glad is the case, because at the end of all good things too, in Next Generation, Picard always stayed kind of distant from his crew, and it was nice to see that because of the events of All Good Things, and at the end how he decided to come in and join them in the card game, that they became friends, and that he still was able to accept the input, and they felt comfortable giving him the advice and everything that he needed to deal with Dodge. So as far as the plot goes with the conspiracy, this episode didn't push that too far. It was an exploration of self, of their relationship, and that's one of the things that Star Trek is great for. One of two things: exploration of space and exploration of self. So and that's one thing Discovery just didn't have. They did not have exploration of space or self, and the episodes that they did try to dabble in exploration of self wasn't done based upon the canon of Trek, which is progression. They tried a little bit later, but it's progression. It's getting over these obstacles. It's finding the best of us, through any adversity. So we find out that Hugh dies. Oh, poor Hugh, man. Hugh had. Let me tell you something. There's no two characters in Star Trek that had more terrible lives, I'm gonna have to say, than Icheb and Hugh. Okay, when we first run across Hugh in the next episode, in Star Trek: The Next Generation episode, I think it was called I, Borg. We find Hugh had crash landed with a few of his other Borg buddies on the planet, was left for dead. The Enterprise nursed him back to health. They were going to use him as a weapon against the Borg. They decided to change their mind and send him back with individuality as a weapon. That weapon worked. The cube was disconnected. Those Borg on that ship lost their purpose. Lore came in, started experimenting on them, took him over and everything like that. When he finally gets his citizenship and is able to go and help other people who were being been taken over, who were trying to unassimilate from the Borg. He ends up getting stabbed in the neck. It's just and dies. And Icheb was even worse. Icheb, his family sent him off to the Borg ship to give them a neurolytic agent that was going to shut them down. Uh, that ship ended up getting disconnected from the hive and got all messed up. Everybody was killed except for some of the kids. Voyager rescued them. They finally find Icheb's family and send them back to them, which, by the way, side note, the actor that played Icheb's father was the all high-speed, mighty Crowley from Supernatural and from Battlestar Galactica. That actor, I forget what his name is. He's such a great and talented actor, but I think the first time I had ever seen him was in that episode, but as Icheb's father. But I was about to say, oh yeah, and then he ends up going back to his family. They end up reinfecting him with the neurolytic agent to have him reassimilated by the Borg. Voyager has to come and rescue him. He finally makes it back to the Alpha Quadrant, against all odds with Janeway and everybody. And gets to be a Federation officer just to get kidnapped, tortured for his Borg technology, and Seven has to kill him. That's just it's heartbreaking. But anyway, we find out a little bit more about just a little bit more about the conspiracy and everything like that. And some questions arise about the spy that's on the Rios and the vision that she had. But I'm not going to go too much further in that because of the next episode, which is Broken Pieces. Oh, Broken Pieces was okay for me. All right, Broken Pieces did a lot for the plot. So it pushed the episode pretty far. It pushed the plot pretty far. Okay, so we find out, I think Seven is the only Ranger, that's fine, because Seven is enough for everybody. And I remember back in the times when I used to watch Voyager when it was, airing every day. That sound old. I haven't watched TV with Voyager waiting every week for an episode instead of being able to stream like nowadays. But anywho, me and my homie used to call Seven 6 of 9. But anyway, so 7 of 9. Seems that she's the only Ranger, but she came in. She ends up saving the Romulan monk ninja guy. That's my name for him, Romulan monk ninja guy. But it's interesting that Seven ends up taking over the Borg cube as a type of sub queen. I didn't know that was something that a Borg could do. All right, and to have a Borg ship reactivated and start repairing itself, which, by the way, side note, in Best of Both Worlds Part 1 and 2, you see the Borg ship repairing itself, rejuvenating, and it looked like the metal was expanding back out, bending back into shape. And I'm going to assume that was because of the special effects at the time, which were nice. But I really, 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 really liked how they advanced that, showing how the plates and everything with the little automatons moving the plates of the Borg ship into place and repairing and doing those types of things. And now what surprised me is that, and I'm pretty sure Seven was smart enough to disengage the transceiver array from the Borg ship. But once the Borg ship was online and becoming repaired, you would think that it would reconnect with the hive automatically, which would have been a problem. But let's assume that she did do that because Seven knows Borg ships well, and she disconnected it. Having Seven as a sub queen, that was pretty cool and terrifying also. And the fact that she told the Romulan ninja monk guy that not only that the drones may not want to disconnect, but she may not want to let them go or disconnect. And that's scary and kind of powerful, to let you know that people who finally get free of the Borg never, they still always long for that power, that expanse of mind and consciousness and purpose. Okay, so that was really cool. And also the conversation between I think her name's Sela, whatever her name is, the weird Romulan sister chick, and the Centurion, when she asked him, hey, are you scared of these? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm terrified of all these Borg. Who wouldn't be? You know, to know that that even when they think they have the Borg subdued like they do, that they are still very cautious and respectful of just who these people are if they decide to wake up. Speaking of waking up, they woke up. But it was cool that the Romulans had something in place to jettison them all out into space, which we found historically was basically the only thing you could really do to Borg. I'm surprised that all of them flew out, but as we know, being ejected into space doesn't kill Borg. Let me repeat, being ejected into space does not kill Borg. So basically you have a cloud of just immobile Borg in space right now in that area around the ship. Now, what will be interesting is that all of those Romulan ships, and you have 10,000 plus Borg drones just floating in space, you would think at least one or two attached themselves to one of those Romulan warbirds before they warped out to go to Daj's planet, and it would be very interesting. Or infected that sub commander or whatever her name is from that Romulan super secretive group with some nanites or whatever they was doing before she was beamed away, when they had her down there in that what we would like to call the zombie attack, the zombie gang attack. But also that warning with the 200,000-year-old species, that really doesn't fall into canon as far as that threshold and that time, because we know for a fact that there are planets and AI that has existed throughout Star Trek canon that exceeds the 200,000-year-old limit. For instance, in the original series, I believe it was Mud, where Mud came across that planet that had existed for, I think, 1 million or something years or something like that, or eons. I forget how long it was, but I know it was longer than 200,000 years, where all of those androids had existed, and where they were going to leave the planet and serve the Federation to basically take it over. They existed for longer than 200,000 years. That planet did, and they were AI. They had many times to get data, even recently. Okay, if you could get each of them, I'm pretty sure you could get data. And stealing data is not a far-fetched idea. It's hard, but you can do it. Just like Kivas Farjo did in the episode Most Toys in The Next Generation. So there was a lot of AI. V'ger, well, it's not really much they could have did with V'ger. It's not much they could have did with him at all. But needless to say, there's a lot of AI in the canon of Star Trek that these people weren't affecting. Now, you could say in Star Trek canon that there are things that you could say linked on, like the M5 computer. Maybe there was a mole in Starfleet that did something to the M5 computer that made them stop pursuing his work. To where it's that M5 computer. No. We're not going to pursue the AI having starships run around because this M5 computer experiment was a failure. And there were several failures in Starfleet for AI. But also they wouldn't have let Dr. Nguyen Soon create B1, Lore, Data's mother. Okay, I think they would have took Dr. Nguyen Soon out a long time ago. But so that's kind of odd to me, that particular threshold, that 200,000 year mark. But what I found interesting is that how the warning was set up. So this species drug 6 suns, I believe they said it was, across light years to set them up and put a planet in the middle. Now, if anybody follows Doctor Who, they'll know that one of the writers probably sat down and seen that episode where the Daleks snatched the Earth and put it into that planet machine. That's kind of reminiscent of that, and I was kind of disappointed that they decided to go that route, because Star Trek is usually the forefront and pioneering scientific ideas and everything like that when it comes to television and sci-fi. So for me to look at it and get the idea that they got a scientific idea, premise from another sci-fi show, although beloved, is kind of a letdown, as far as the writing goes, and I'm gonna have to ding them for that. But so that threshold thing, I'm kind of interested to see how they explain it. So we find out that Blossom and that Dodge had another sibling, okay, that had first contact with Captain Rios. all right, with this other synthetic life called I think Blossom or something like that, from this world where the warning, I guess, where Dodge was created. Now, the Captain Rios had received a communication from Starfleet, the Commodore. By the way, the rank of Commodore. The rank of Commodore is in Starfleet, in Star Trek canon, is a rank that's above Captain, but beneath Admiral, and it's usually reserved for Starbase commanders. And I know some people are going to bring up Deep Space Nine just like I did when it first aired, that Captain Sisko started off as a commander, yet he running a big old space station, then finally get promoted to captain, but never was ever had the rank of Commodore. That's a whole nother video. But that's what the rank of Commodore is. I mean, so you've had to serve in Starfleet for some time, which means that you're subject to med screens, you're subject to blood tests, especially during the Dominion wartime. Okay, so you're subject to blood tests and all of these types of things. In the episode of Drumhead, they were prosecuting an ensign because they thought he was involved in a saboteur effect on the Enterprise. But then they persisted because they found out that he lied on his application. Instead of being half human and half Vulcan, he was half human and half Romulan, which they are now able to detect against. So if she's had all of these blood screenings, medical exams, mandatory blood screens, they would have found out that she's not Vulcan, that she's Romulan. So I'm wondering how she was able, even before she got to the position of head of Starfleet Security, when she might have been able to do it that way. But even to hold a title of head of Starfleet Security, you have to be medically examined, and they would have found that out. So that's kind of odd. But anyway, Captain Rios gets this communication to basically assassinate these two dignitaries, these two synthetic life forms. And that situation led to him being confronted by Commander Rios, who I think that their relationship is a bit more deep than just mentor or captain or kind of a father figure. They mention his father figure, but from his reaction and the things that happened afterwards and the captain's reaction, I think that the relationship is a bit more personal. Okay, but also the description of what happened. So the captain put the phaser in his mouth, pulled the trigger or whatever, and blood and brain splattered behind him. Now, phasers aren't really kinetic. They will knock you around a bit, but they usually stun, kill, or disintegrate. They usually don't punch holes in things and knock blood splatter. There's never been, to my knowledge, blood splatter or spray or anything like that left from a phaser blast. So I'm interested to know what kind of phaser they had on board to where it had that kind of kinetic force like a bullet. So we found out what happened there and why Rios is acting the way he is about his captain. So also, is it me or is it that Dodge android abilities seem to unlock as the plot needs? Is that me? Because I think that's me. All right. Also, yeah, being on a Borg ship, doing Borg investigations and stuff like that, you'll be able to come across Borg transport maps. That's fine. But to have the balls to use one is, oh my God. And even Picard, who knows intricately the Borg, if you open up a Borg transwarp conduit and you try to use it, the Borg will know and they're gonna come. So you're trying to tell me that not only is your one ship finna go and try to beat this Romulan fleet to Dodge's homeworld, but you are potentially gonna bring some Borg who's trying to figure out who the hell using their conduits with that. Okay, so I'm interested to see how they explain shielding themselves from the Borg, knowing somebody is using a conduit and coming to figure out why they technological and biological distinctiveness shouldn't be added to their own. So, but the spy's back and he's following them again. Um, the um, the assassin scientific lady finally met Dodge, and her love of science overruled her her nature and her scare fear, which I'm very happy it did, because again, the nature of Star Trek and the exploration of self is overcoming fear, just like Captain Picard was saying, which by the way is also an awesome orator, and I'm happy that keeping with the fact that he can still give a speech with purpose and with the values of Trek behind them. Okay, so um, also in the going back a little bit in the episode Broken Pieces, Command Admiral Riker made a point to note that he wasn't out of Starfleet. He was kind of like on a ready reserve or a type of National Guard type of inactive duty status, and that he could come back at any minute. So we know that a fleet is going to be helping Picard, meaning that the Admiral is going to be sending a fleet to help Picard. Okay, it would be so awesome if that fleet was commanded. If Admiral Riker came out of retirement, grabbed the Enterprise of that day, and came to help Picard, that would be an awesome episode. So I'm really enjoying the series, like I said, and Broken Pieces and Rura-Nepenthe. I just had to. They was too close not to say Rura-Nepenthe, but they're very good episodes. One of the exploration of self, and one of the exploration of the conspiracy. So it's awesome. Ralphie, I really like her. A lot of people have I was talking about the vices and everything that the people have in this Star Trek, and they forget the vices that people have had in all Star Trek. Everybody, I'm not going to say everybody, has been Starfleet personnel with vices. Barclay with vices. Okay, so you know don't see Star Trek from it's one thing to see Star Trek from a high horse and this high pedestal based on the ideals and everything that they preach, but it is still a world of imperfection that is trying to progress to that. Okay, yes, Earth is a paradise, but because of the Dominion War and everything like that, they diminished a bit, which war does that. The Dominion War was terrible. Okay, so of course they're going to have some. The Federation is going to be scared to stick its neck back out. And of course, the Federation is going to be succumb to fear. Okay, and it's a reflection of today's society, which Star Trek has always been. So, but how do we deal with that fear? How do we progress past that? Okay, do we let that define us? Okay, so these are things that Star Trek tackles, and I'm happy that Picard is doing that. How do we, how do we take the loss? How do we take the loss of things, that we expected in the world that we had, and build upon it? How do we revitalize and repair the relationships that were damaged as a result of these things? How do we move past that, back to the way of glory and back to the road of these morals that we expound? So, kudos to Captain Picard. Kudos to the Picard series. And if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, anything you guys want me to address, please leave them in the comments section, and smash up the likes and hit the reminder. Kapla.